most of the things that universities have been criticised for, and sometimes reasonably criticised for, are problems that almost every sector of society has struggled with. There is no institution, no segment that you can point to and say the way that they have dealt with sexual assault and sexual harassment, issues around Gaza, that has pleased everybody. Everybody has said, yes, that's an excellent position to have taken, well done. People are so divided about different responses to these things, and some of those are genuinely complex issues. So, sometimes because universities are an easy focal point, we say, well, universities have this problem. Actually, in many cases, our society has this problem, and governments and police forces and others have been just as challenged in trying to deal with it. That said, I do think that the sector probably needed to come together and speak with a clearer and more united, more principled voice to assist individual universities not being picked off one by one on some of these issues, and also sometimes to have had a stronger and faster response to genuine and serious concerns in areas like sexual assault and sexual harassment. And one of the things that troubles me about the social moment we're in the West, this is not just in Australia, but we see it a lot around many parts of the world, is a growing disenchantment with institutions of all kinds, with governments, with courts, with religious institutions, with universities, the sort of the core social constructs which help keep our society together and gave us commonality have come under increased attack. And sometimes for all of those institutions, it's because of things we haven't done well, challenges that we should have met in a different way, responses that could have been better calibrated to the public mood. But we've also got to recognise that there's a febrile and deeply cultural divide moment, which makes it extraordinarily difficult that any response that a leader gives in certain circumstances, or that any position a university takes, will to a segment of society be an anathema, and they now have very loud megaphones to make that point of view clear. It's not the occasional op-ed, it is immediate saturation of social media, and by people who are not bound by any journalistic constraints and so forth. So yes, of course it worries me that universities are subject of attack by politicians, subject of attack by media, subject of attack by members of the public. Seeing it in that broader context is helpful, but not necessarily a solution. In fact, universities have stood up better than many institutions in terms of public faith and trust. I do think we've got better, but I also think we've got a way to go. So that's the sort of the negative side of social licence. We perhaps need to be more united as a sector, more responsive, and listen a little bit more carefully and thoughtfully to what our critics say. There's also a positive side to social licence. How do we actually communicate to people the good that all of us who work in the sector see every day? The single mum who's become a nurse and whose kids are just bursting with pride at graduation ceremonies, the research which has helped the local agricultural sector to increase their productivity by 5%, which might be the difference between a farm being viable and not being viable. This happens thousands of times all over the country, and we've certainly tried to communicate those stories. Good news is not news, in the same way as angry people, critical people, condemning people, protesting people. But one of the things we're looking to do with our new strategy is to try and make more easily visible and impactful the work that we're doing. So we're going to introduce what we call Griffith Community Hours, and we will commit to 250,000 free or low-cost hours of service to the communities that we serve in Queensland. And that will be made up of health clinics, dental clinics, psychological clinics, free legal advice, free tax advice, free music and creative arts instructions in the regions of Queensland, but pulling that all together in a really visible way to say to the people of Queensland, we are going to give you 250,000 hours or more, we actually think it'll be more, every year for the life of this strategy. And using that sort of joined up approach, instead of doing lots of little good things all over the place and say, wasn't it nice we had 50 students spend an hour cleaning up the beach or the bush this weekend, and we might write a little internal email about that being nice. Let's pull it together so that people can see the magnitude of what we're doing.